Welcome to Reading the Green, a golf and fantasy sports show. My name is Mike with Kyle and Jordan on Tuesday, January 21st. This is episode 129, back from a 2-month hiatus, our January edition of this very young golf season. Gentlemen, welcome to Tory Week.
We're doing this. We're here. We're talking.
We are.
RTG is back.
It is back for tonight, and then it'll be gone for a few weeks. And so the deal is, we tweeted this out. Maybe like 10 people might have seen it. We're going to slow down the pod a little bit. Maybe some meatier episodes, but it'll be once a month for all of Kyle's favorite events between now and September. Once a month. Bigger previews. A little more recap of what's going on in golf, a little more chatter, but just not grinding as hard. What do you guys think? Does that work for you?
I mean, it works for me. We get a reason to chit chat a little bit. Still get to dive in. I actually, so far, I know we'll get into what's been happening in the golf world a little bit. My DFS performance this year has been a lot better than January last year. So maybe it's like an inverse. Like I put in less work and I do better.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the spreadsheet once. I just had to go try and find it. And I've won a week and got second in another.
You do know that we moved to the 2025 version, so if you're still using 2024.
My bookmark was for the 2024, so I needed to get back to 2025.
Well, if you're like Jordan and you're new to RTG, this is season number 4 for us. 129 episodes. Kyle, we started in your basement in COVID for the Sony Open in 2021. And, just 4 solid seasons. And our bit, again, if you're new, our bit is to consume a lot of golf content. And Kyle, your new favorite word, gonkulate plays from across the creator expert community and use that to pick, our plays each week. And, people ask me when I tell them that, it's like, oh, that's kind of a good idea, but like, does it work? You get a slight edge out of it. It's a good tool to add to all of your other DFS prep. Slight edge.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it was a much better edge when we first started.
Jordan, you hearing that?
Nope, I didn't hear any of it. I didn't want to interrupt. Kyle, we lost you. Did you mute your mic?
Oh.
Did you mute your mic? Anything?
No, Kyle's gone. Okay. Well, anyways, what he was trying to say is content creators go all over the place. It is very hard to follow somebody like consistently year after year. So, Kyle will chime in when he's back. But yes, we are still grinding the RTG approach. It's a fun way to connect with people. I think we're going to have a couple of fun bits this year as we connect with the rest of the community. And so when you follow us, we're going to give you consensus plays and we're going to give you power plays. And you can follow all those on our Twitter feed week to week. But the pod be a little more hanging out, a little more golf chatter, preview the big events. You'll enjoy yourself.
Kyle, you back yet? We'll still have the DraftKings every week also.
That's right. Listener League, one and done.
That was probably the best take I've ever had.
Yeah.
Did you guys get it?
And
Can you hear now?
It was.
Yeah, now we hear you.
It was dead silent.
I have no clue what happened. It wasn't on mute, anything. So you guys, it's just lost in the universe forever. I had this very, very sharp take on how our model, not only helps you with your builds, but helps you kind of navigate the week from what other people are maybe doing as well. But alas.
I mean, anyone that I try to sell the idea to, I basically say, look, just because someone has a domain and they write, Luke List and Steven Yeager on it doesn't mean there's any accountability for them to be right. And all we're doing is just giving a little transparency. You're going to read a bunch of stuff when you're trying to, sling some bets this week. We might as well keep a little bit of track if those quote unquote experts are doing anything right.
Yep, because
that's what you get.
these experts might be the only people that are less right than weathermen. So don't go listen to one of them all the time.
And see, that way we can always absolve ourselves when we're completely off. We'll say it's not our fault. The people that we follow. These are the guys they picked. Anyways, that's what we got this week. We've got a ton of other good picks. Okay, but I got the RTG roundup. Guys, I got 6 topics to cover the last, last 3 weeks or so in professional golf and golf in general. Want to get your takes, so I'm going to run through these and give you guys a couple of questions. So if I go back to PGA Tour winners this year, we've had 3 events starting all the way back at the Century at Kapalua. Jordan, you're the Kapalua expert on the call. Can you believe Hideki shot 35 under? Like, is that golf course easy, or are they just insanely good in pristine conditions?
All of the above.
Oh, you think Kapalua is easy?
I mean, it's always in the 20s, isn't it, under par?
No, I know, but you've played it. Like, is it?
Well, I'm
like...
not good though. That's the difference. I mean, right?
You didn't hit 428-yard drives?
Not that I remember. No, but yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't remember it being hard, which unlike, I played Hazeltine in the fall, and it wasn't memorable, but it was hard, right? Like, that's it. Kapalua is memorable and not hard. Hazeltine is the opposite.
I'm a little surprised. Hideki's not the kind of guy that you think go out and just fill it up and shoot 35 under, but I mean, he was really under the radar from an expert perspective that week. But yeah, I guess anybody can show up at Kapalua, and I guess he an elite iron player that Hideki is. I didn't look at the stats following Century, but so Hideki gets it done, record-breaking fashion. Then we move on to Sony, where Kyle, your guy, your dog, future U.S. Ryder Cup captain Nick Taylor, he gets it done, and the only way Nick Taylor gets it done is dramatic fashion in a playoff.
U.S. Ryder Cup captain?
There's a lot of takes on Twitter that like Nick Taylor is like the guy the U.S. needs to bring them to victory. Fortunately, he's Canadian.
He is a just epic closer, right? To get that done with chipping in to make the playoff to even get there. But just talk about a guy that's had some memorable finishes and wins over the year. He's either feast or famine, though. Either missing the cut, nowhere close, or just he gets it done. I love it.
My biggest problem with Nick Taylor being in the spotlight, I said this at the Wimpo last year. It's like I gotta watch, 2007 call. They want their Adidas 2 or 360s back. His shoes, he hasn't got these all black Adidas with the white stripes. It's like I had those in high school.
That would be your take. This Mike is also the guy that. How many pairs of golf shoes do you have right now, Mike?
Enough. I haven't bought a new pair of golf shoes in at least a year.
At least a year. Wow.
Do you mean the calendar year of 2025?
It'll probably change. I saw a couple of pairs I might need to get, but I mean, Nick Taylor is just so unassuming, but he is a killer. He's a killer in playoff. He makes huge shots. So it was pretty cool. Yeah, pretty cool seeing him chip in for Eagle and then get it done over. Who did he beat in the playoff, Kyle?
Who did Nick Taylor beat in the playoff? I don't even remember. You put me on the spot.
Oh, really? I do. I was trying to get you to say his name. Nico Echevarria. There you go. All right. And then last week we get to what's classically called the effing birdie fest by long lost John Rahm. But Sepp Straka, father, bald, and now slayer of Pete Dye Stadium course. Buke. RTG faithful Buke 0215 somehow comes up with Sepp in one and done. Kyle, but you texted me. You said Sepp's got great history at the Amex.
He did. I didn't really realize that to the broadcast, but he shows out there. He gained 3.7 strokes putting last night. It was good, or last week. Good tee to green. Saw it off the tee. Sepp, man. I I don't, look at the form. It was a little bit there. He was T30 at Sony, he was T15 at Century, T9 at the Hero, but I wasn't making that click.
No. No, I had him. Sony, I had him, but yeah, wasn't on Sep. The rest of the field, I mean, I don't know if Sep is elevating to elite status here. I mean, obviously he's a PGA multi-time PGA Tour winner, but the top 10, I don't have the results in front of me. The top 10 on Sunday looked good. You had Jason Day, Patrick Cantlay, Justin Thomas. Like he had good chasers, but 4-shot lead at stadium course, like you can't make a mistake out there unless your name is William Mao. And that wasn't happening to the Sep.
That was awesome. I love how he played it back out to be finally plays it back out to be safe, and then blades it over the green from the middle of the fairway.
And the best part about that, well, I mean, there's several good parts, but I also loved that the broadcast had to end in the middle of that meltdown. So
it did?
probably the thing they wanted to show the most. But I was texting to you guys live right after. He was like, oh, he's playing Andy over, when he had only done it twice at that point. And he's still in the bunker. And he's still in the bunker. And then he went over. Then he went back. The one that trickled was the last thing I saw. And then the broadcast ended.
Well, they had the rest of the video was out there, so they somewhere must have had it. But he, when the announcer loses his mind when he hits his 10th shot over the green, I thought that was just so perfect. He two putted from 70 feet for a 13. That's an impressive two putt.
I appreciate the dedication to get the ball in the hole.
Should have put it out of the sand.
I mean, Jordan, we've played that golf course. Do you remember playing that hole?
No. That bunker didn't. I remember like going and looking over it, but like I don't feel like it was in play. Like maybe we were just scared of it, so we just hit way over the right side. But
you didn't go for it in two, right? I mean, that was probably what he did, and he overcooked it. And I'm assuming you guys probably laid back a little bit and then threw a dart.
Yeah. I mean, like 17 sticks out to me, the island green. Like, I remember that vividly. I remember playing 18, but I do not remember playing 16 and standing on that green. It's a really cool golf hole. Like, you talk about, like, that's like the only hole out there that, like, really invites a big number if you bring on the risk. But, yeah, but once Sep put it in cruise control, I know he ended up making a couple bogeys down the stretch to only win by 2, but it's just even I mean, Nick Dunlap last year, didn't he do it? He blew a tee shot and an approach shot way right on 18. Like take the water totally out of play. I mean, there's no rough out there. So it's just really hard to expect there to be any drama with someone's with a lead. So
yeah.
That's what you get. All right, let me give you a couple of other topics. Just we kind of run through. There's been so much. When we don't pod every week, there's just so much to talk about. So, Kyle, Jordan, I haven't even gotten to this yet. Week 3 TGL. I hear it's getting better. Is your stock rising or falling on TGL?
So I have not watched tonight yet, outside of like the first 4 holes. I am excited to watch tonight. In general, overall, I would say I'm higher on it at least than your tech star, Mike. I feel like we could talk a long time on TGL, right? It's not. Is it serious golf? No, but in the January, February, maybe it'll fade if they try to do it longer. Is it something entertaining to watch on a weeknight? Yeah. But I saw some tweets that tonight was a little closer and that it was good. So I'm excited to see a close match. Kevin Kisner should be nowhere near this thing. Tiger should just be like a coach. And we should get some other guys in it, and let's change up the holes a little bit too. But overall, I enjoy
it.
Where are you at, Jordan?
Like, so I haven't recorded it. I think I watched the first night. We were texting about it, but like 6 p.m. on a Tuesday, 5 in the mountain and 4 p.m. I mean, maybe they delay it instead of doing it live on the West Coast, but like it's a tough time. Like I would like this to be not starting at 8 or 9 o'clock Central, and I can watch it in bed, get some golf then. But like it's a tough time. I don't know how long do they go. Does it go for? Is it 2 hours?
It's like 2 hours. Yeah.
But like for us, 8 p.m. Like you said, Kyle, you haven't even watched it yet, Kyle. Right? Like you have to be a dedicated person that has kids to record it and then go back and watch fake golf. I mean, I like the concept. I texted you guys today the 2 NFL games on Sunday took just a tiny bit longer than Sepp Straka's round at PGA West. That's why that's why golf sucks, is because it takes 6 hours, 7 hours to play 18 holes. Like, what planet are you on? I played in Mexico when we were down there. We quit after 9 holes because it took us 2.5 hours. It was actually like 2:45, almost 3. And we're like, I'm not. And we went inside and we're like, give us a rain check for 18 holes and we'll come back. And when we came back and had the second group out, and we played in 3.5 hours for 18. Like, slow golf sucks. It sucks to play, and it sucks even more to watch. So TGL, maybe a little too far down the the path of modernizing it, but something.
There's something there.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think hopefully they continue to evolve it, right? To your point, I would start later. It doesn't need to be 2 hours, hour and a half. I think for seeing some takes, like make it 12 holes, make it all 3-ball, or the 3-man. I like all that.
Do some scramble. Do some other like get some crazy holes that are super hard and make these guys do a scramble where they've got to land it on an island and then hit it to another island and then do an island green, right?
There is some of those, but there is some that just drive me crazy that like you could design anything. This is what you came up with. And lastly, Mike, I'll let you talk, but the spear, like maybe visually looks okay, but that pinch point where it's not only, 10 yards wide or something, needs to be at like 315. These guys having a 280, that does nothing unless you're Kevin Kisner.
Yeah, or Tiger. The look of disappointment on Tiger's face when he couldn't carry a 280. He did a 277. He landed in the water and he was just crushed. Like it was like true mortality for this guy.
And he turns around, I even got that. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say that my stock is falling. I think my stock is still rising, but I'm waiting for it to then fall off because each week has gotten better. Production value's gotten better. Guys have loosened up a little bit. I have not watched tonight, but I've just hearing some of the takes. The tech is really interesting. I know it's not spot on, but like this company, they spent 2 years building a project that like has literally never been done. And it could create a model. Like I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing these types of venues pop up elsewhere. I mean, you would think that you could, on a slightly smaller version, rent this thing out to whatever groups, for all kinds of events. And that's kind of what I'm curious if like the tech, if it's brought down a level and becomes a novelty that as a part of the entertainment industry.
Yeah,
I don't know what the
green is the coolest thing.
Yeah,
the rotating, you see it on the screen and it's the same shape, but it's here or there, and like the bunker's in the same spot, and yet they can change it as much as they do. Like that is awesome.
It's a really fascinating engineering feat. Like you wonder, will top end performance centers have that hydraulic green and use that for elite golf training, whatever. I'm gonna need a little more. I mean, even a little more reason to care to get through like the next 6 weeks of TGL, because I think you're right, Kyle and Jordan. Like it's long, it's fun, but it's long, and like I don't have a reason to care yet. So, we'll see. But it's been. I can't bet. In Minnesota, I cannot bet on it effectively. So therefore, it's difficult to care. Yeah. All right. You should get one response to this. We'll keep it rolling. A lot of chatter the last week or so on the challenges facing the PGA Tour, primarily coming out of, like you said, the length of the round this weekend at the Amex. Jordan finished this sentence. You almost texted it today. The PGA Tour needs ...
Shot clock.
What does it mean? Shot clock. Jordan goes shot clock. Faster rounds, faster play, shot clock.
It should not take as long as it does to play golf.
Yeah, that's the answer. That's the answer. Shot clock. But since that was already said by Jordan, yeah, shot clock.
I mean, I think that's right. Unfortunately, that feels like that was like that was like one of the live value props.
But
for me, I think
they
the
actually
PGA
have a shot clock?
No, but like it's meant to be fast, right?
Yeah.
They just need to enforce the rules that already exist. That's all.
That would help
Yeah.
also.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need a freaking timer and a buzzer to go off, but I back to TGL, but it'd be curious seeing Cantlay tonight with a shot clock. But the first 2 weeks, the only guy that really struggled with it really was Sahith Theegala. He kind of did a little bit hitter at the end, but it sounded most of the guys rolled right with it.
Yeah.
So they
should do it. There's two options. One, a kid carries around an electronic screen that counts it down like a basketball shot clock, or it's like chess, where you get 5 hours to play your round. You can take long or short.
Tap the timer.
Yeah, you hit and you tap it, and then you get to walk to your next. And as soon as the other person hits, your timer starts, whether you're at your ball or not.
That means you could be like banking your time though, because then it's like, I see. It's for like the group. Because I was thinking like I get like X amount of time over my shot.
You get your time. So if you played 8 shots fast in a row, you would be banking a lot of time for a shot that you actually need to think about. These guys spend so much time on, okay, this little chip. You're not going to make it. You're going to chip it within a 5-foot circle anyway. Just fucking chip the ball.
This is interesting. This is like, MLB is working on it. I agree with you. Pace of play, like, especially when the broadcast settles on a guy and I still got to watch him for 2 more minutes, stalk a putt or waddle over a whatever. The other thing is, especially in light of the Justin Thomas letter that was sent this week around players needing to step up and take more interviews and show more personality, I don't care. Like, I consume enough golf content that I feel like I know the guys that I'm gonna know, but like, I think it's not about making these guys into bigger entertainers and bigger stars artificially. Like, give me good competition, give me good venues, give me more information about the game of golf that I can take home. But it's not about getting to hear Justin Thomas's voice more often and his personality, unless he's going to get into the real nitty-gritty of what he's doing, and he's not.
That's because he's boring, right? Joel Dahman is who he is because he is interesting, right? If there were,
but even then, like,
I don't know.
Still would rather see Joel. You want that, Kyle? You want the personalities?
Well, not the personalities, but I read that letter differently than you. Like, I felt like it was insight to, you're not the Spieth freaking talk through everything, but be willing to be mic'd up. Talk about what you're doing. Talk about your injuries. Give some insight to what's happening.
Yeah.
Even if you're going to lean in further the DFS, the sports betting side of it, like, that's the hardest part about doing this. We don't know, if a guy's changed swing coaches or his back's been bothering him for 3 weeks. Xander finally says, oh, it's a rib issue after he's pulled out 3 times. It's just like giving some of that access, is that going to get a 16-year-old into the game more? No, but I will say my 8-year-old does love TGL. he talks like the Energizer Bunny journey. He loves it.
It's way more accessible.
If you're just connecting with a different audience, like our community of it, like, open up. And that's kind of how I took that letter. Like, you gotta let people in, you gotta let the media in, talk more and talk through what you're doing.
Not at the expense of good golf though. The good golf to me, like it still matters. And I'm not saying it's come at the expense of that, but like we still need good golf tournaments. And I would hate to see like that and I don't know, and I don't even know how this plays out, but I would just hate to see that be sacrificed for more media gimmicks. So I guess we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like the Spieth thing, right? The one where Michael Geller, where he's like, "Hey, if this fails, this is on me," and then he plops it in the water, right? It's not. It'd be great even if they're just wearing a mic, even if that's not part of the broadcast, just to see clips like that after the fact.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's like all the NFL, NBA, right? They've got mic'd up. They're not doing it live because it would be cussing and swearing and terrible things. But 10 minutes later, they can show a clip from the timeout of the coach talking.
Yeah,
right? Like,
exactly. And how else would you see a clip of Vita Vea talking about his goat farm? That's what he's doing on the sideline. Like you're right. That's what you guys want. You guys want the chit chat.
Yeah, AJ a brown Rena's AJ, right?
That's right. That's right. All right, I got one last question for you. Then we'll get into the farmers. It's January 2025. We have a new golf season in front of us. Although the temp in Minneapolis this week feels like minus 30 this morning, so golf feels far away. But Jordan, what is one thing you are looking forward to on the personal golf front in 2025?
Golfing more.
Golfing more.
My youngest kid is now somewhat self-sustaining. So me being gone for, 4 hours on a Saturday morning or Sunday morning isn't the death sentence to my spouse that it used to be. And she has even encouraged me, even towards the end of last year. She's like, Saturday mornings are easy, right? Kids get to wake up, get to watch some cartoons. I will gladly be out golfing and then meet you at the pool.
Nice.
So,
I like how you started to say that in her voice when you do her voice, but you caught yourself. It switched. You said the in the voice.
I would say at least 50% more rounds, if not 100% more rounds.
Yeah, your round count was lower than I expected it to be last year.
Yeah, and a lot of those were 9-hole rounds. Most of them were 9-hole rounds.
Yeah.
But I've already got 2. I've got 1.5 in this year already. Oh, boss.
What do you got?
You froze there. Whatever you were trying to say.
So I started this journey last year, right? We talked about it at length, making some swing changes. I was going to commit to that over the winter. I haven't done crap for that yet. It's just, it's been challenging trying to get time to sim and everything, but I got to get that done, right? Because I think with the current situation, my runway for improvement is limited. So just a couple tweaks, cut down that backswing a little bit, stop coming as over the top, get a little bit more turn, right, Mike?
What we talk about. That's what we talk about. I look forward to it. I love a good swing rebuild. And, and for me, I mean, that's where I was last year. This is what I tell you guys every year when we do the resolutions. I say I'm going to play less golf and I'm going to get better, which last year I found a good instructor. I played minimal golf rounds, but I felt like I got better as a player. And so now that, Cal, we talked about this in one of the fall pods, now that I have official full golf status at my golf club, because I've been on the wait list for so long, I look forward to, like Jordan, playing more rounds because I'll get to, like, honestly, the most thing I'm looking forward to most is league golf. That excuse every Tuesday, get out of work early, play 9 holes. Hopefully have a great Tuesday weather year, because this year I think was crazy bad. Bring my new swing out there and see what like a real full golf season does. So that's what I'm most excited about.
I like it. I'm also excited for the RTG Invitational to not be at my club this year, because I've come in third all 3 years we've had it.
I look forward to it too. Do you think, is it too ambitious to get 8 players in the RTG Invitational?
No.
Is that too ambitious? Do you think we could just start planning it now?
We just got to get the invites out, yes, and set the time.
Let's start planning it now. That is a commitment that I'm making to get 8 players in the RTG Invitational.
I'll say our other option is to have 2 invitationals, a home and away for you and me.
We could do multiple invitationals. Some ideas. I like that thrown out there. All right, Kyle. We're gonna turn to the farmers really quick, but do you want to introduce your NA beer? Do you have something good?
Oh yes, it's dry January, everyone. You haven't heard me talk about it 5 times this year. It's only once, but no, it's not good. But we're potty, so I had to crack something. It is Deschutes and Patagonia Provisions joint. Non-alcoholic Kernza. Does that mean anything to you, Mike?
Nope.
A soil-saving, carbon-capturing perennial grain, apparently. Bright, crisp, and wildly drinkable. It's not awful. I mean, it's not a beer, but it's not awful.
Jordan, you break anything open tonight?
I had some club soda. I went wild. When we do it in person next month, I will partake. It was just 9:30 start time. A little late to start drinking on a Tuesday night.
I mean, I really don't. Alcohol consumption is way down without the weekly pod. But I made an exception on this Tuesday, and I have a Radiant Haze 12-ouncer from Toppling Goliath, one of their more recent year-round hazy IPAs. Very good. All right. Someone kick us off for the Farmers. The Farmers Insurance Open down at Torrey Pines North and South courses in La Jolla, California. You guys ever been to La Jolla?
Wasn't this RTG Invitational number 1?
The original, the OG.
Yeah. I think the rando with the rusted out clubs won, technically.
Joey Rusty Irons. 2020. This is I said at the beginning of the show, 2021 Sony Open was the first RTG episode. 2020, we went down for a January getaway to a very chilly San Diego.
Yeah.
About 4 weeks.
What you guys talking about? I was in the pool plenty. It was fine.
I would say 4 weeks, probably like 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks before the first COVID case is found. And there was all kinds of illness on this trip. Who knows what was spread. Yeah, Torrey Pines. I was worried about the forecast. We thought it was going to rain a ton, and it turned out to have a wonderful day on the South Course.
We did. I really enjoyed it.
It was
even
great.
Though the golf game wasn't ideal, but
yeah, and the rough length wasn't ideal either.
No.
2 weeks.
Turns out
California golf should be kind of like Florida golf, where you hit it in the rough, you go in there and you hit it out, not you're hacking it out.
Hacking it out. I mean, they had a local rule that said if you don't find your ball in the rough in 1 minute, please drop in the fairway.
Turns out playing 3 weeks before the Farmers isn't the most ideal time for a couple AMs.
No, although Kyle, you did have the benefit of the grandstands helping keeping your ball in play on at least one occasion.
Yeah, you can tell I'm not good. I didn't do that correctly. You're supposed to use it as a bank board, right? And come all the way back, not just ricochet off it and continue.
If you're playing
more strategic next time with that approach.
If you're playing, I mean, just a quick tangent. The why am I blanking on the name of the golf tournament in Dubai? The Hero.
Yeah.
18 literal backboard.
Yes.
And I know there was the clip, whoever it was put it off the backboard to like 4 feet for eagle, but like that's awful. And I know they grew the rough out because who was trying to, was it Laurie Cantor or whoever was trying to tie Hatton down the stretch? I actually watched it on Sunday morning. We were trying to tie Hatton, got just a terrible lie behind the green trying to play it off the backboard, but it's a literal backboard over water.
Asinine. I thought you were going to make fun of TGL having stands in some of the holes, which is also asinine. But
All right. Well, let me ask you this question. Knowing that we are going, and we have the farmers this week, which is your full field 156 player event, 2 course setup, south and north. We're going to go back here in a month for the rescheduled, relocated Genesis, smaller field, all played on the south course. So we're getting Torrey south course 6 rounds in a month. Is this too much Torrey? Is this a good thing or a bad thing? What do you guys think?
Given the options, I'm fine with it. Right? It looks cool on your TV. I know some of the design bros have issues with Tory and especially how it's played. I'm kind of hoping in 2 weeks they do some things to maybe tweak it a little bit, maybe graduate the rough. That'd be cool. Since that's one of the complaints, right? A big miss and a small miss are equal. But what else were they going to do? I wouldn't have loved going back to the Amex. Going to Arizona doesn't make sense to me. So,
Yeah.
given the cards in front of them, I'm fine.
Yeah, that's agreed. Riviera's awesome. Like a much more interesting course to watch, I feel like, the tournament, but it'll be interesting to see now because all the big names will be at it. Like, if they don't change the course that much, other than, they don't get to play the North. What, they play North once?
Yeah, everybody plays North once, yeah.
Yeah. So what's the difference in the scores for the weekend if they keep the rough and other things the same? Just better players only playing the hard course. How does it equate? And there's going to be a whole lot of shop data next year.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think it is. I saw this take. I can't remember who was being interviewed, but there is you got to make a mindset change going from the Amex where you got to make a bajillion birdies to going to Torrey where you just have to kind of keep the wheels on the road. I am excited to see hard golf, but and I'm an expert because I played Torrey on the sim a couple days ago. It is a lot of pound driver as far in a straight as you can. And I do remember that playing there in real life. Like it is a lot of long straight holes that kind of go back and forth. And so I get the fact that it looks cool on TV, but at the same time, you're kind of watching the same shots. And I don't know. I don't like take exception to that. I'm looking forward to seeing guys be challenged and see guys challenged for now 2 events. Not that Riviera wouldn't have been a challenge, but I get it. Like it is a lot of long straight holes, almost kind of like Firestone is a lot of long straight holes. Although that's in rural Ohio, and this is in the most beautiful spot in the United States. But no, so it's not too much Torrey, but I get the criticism of just the golf course isn't as interesting as a golf course as maybe some of the others.
For sure.
And I've always loved, the thing I love about Torrey Pines is, and I say this on the pod every single year, you feel like it is the nicest municipal golf course you'll ever play. The rough has got this mixture of crabgrass and kikuya and whatever else is in there. It's not trying to be manicured. It's just hard. It's just a really hard municipal golf course. So, Kyle, don't I don't really care about the North Course. Guys are going to blitz the North Course. I have a take on wave advantage potentially, but what generally gets it done at Torrey Pines South?
I mean, you hit on it, Mike, right? Bombers are definitely in play this week. We talked about it. The penalty for missing small and big, for the most part, is pretty much the same. So you might as well hit it up there as far as you can. If you're 4 feet off the fairway, it's pretty much the same as being 40 feet off in most instances, unless you go down into the canyon, which some of us may have done during our round. You hit a lot of high irons, and you want guys with that hit their irons high on approach because they're all small greens, Poe on the greens, long rough. And, we kind of know what gets it done here. Course history doesn't I mean, it does come into play because it's usually a typical profile, but instead of course history this week, I like form, and really guys that have off to a good start. Um, but at the same time, we had Matthew Pavon here last year, kind of come out of nowhere, coming out of playing in Europe and the Middle East, and come over and win in his first start of the year in the States. So it that has shown the ability to be possible too.
I think I saw Jeff Ulrich had a take. He said something like, and I don't remember the exact number. It was either 10 of the last 11 or 11 of the last 11 winners played a professional event in their previous season. And so basically, I was like, okay. So, like, Jim Canoose isn't winning Torrey Pines, but so I get the impression that it's just kind of like, and as we've seen, I mean, I like, Jason Day has played well. The stars have played well here. Jason Day, Max Homa's won recently. But then you also get guys kind of out of the middle of nowhere. Luke List a couple years ago, taking out the win, and then, like you said, Matthew Pavon. So you're right. It's really just who's got the guts to go take on Torrey, and I think what we often say is that, like, all these guys on tour are good. Torrey just requires you to be, like, just really tough this week, and that's not everybody. So looking at the RTG model based on what people are, the nice thing is we got a Tuesday night show and a Wednesday night golf tournament start, meaning we got a decent amount of content in. So what does the RTG community think?
Unfortunately, we still have some missing, which kind of blows my mind. So far, we leading the way is Ludwig at 47% mention share, 76 on the MPI, so pretty strong. But he will also run you $10,800. Right after him, we have a trio: Aaron Rye, Joseph Bramlett, and Willie Z at a variety of price points. Willie Z 9,500, Bramwagon at 6,900, and Aaron Rye at 8,300. They're all at 36% mention share. All doing well in the MPI. Willie leading the way at 79. And then we have another trio right behind them at 30% mention share so far: Gary Woodland, Decky, and Taylor Montgomery. Taylor Montgomery all the way down at 6,500 on the salary, and Decky at 10,700. A gentleman who has been off to a great start this year and has great course history here.
If you're going to ask me who's long and straight on tour, it's Ludwig. I mean, that's the guy. That's the stat profile. Ludwig, has he played at Torrey?
Yes, last year. I believe he finished
T9.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was top 10.
Yeah, T9 for Ludwig. I think that is almost, given his recent form, given his performance at TGL in the opener. We have to say that, right? We have to say that now because TGL now is a factor. He swung a golf club on TV, therefore his performance matters. I'm surprised that Data Golf doesn't have TGL stats in here. To me, that's the guy. That's the guy to go to from a stat profile that should fit Torrey. And I think it's the same thing I said at Valhalla last year, and he missed the cut. But that's the lock. The thing I'm really struggling with, I'm just going to just start at the top of the board here. Kyle, sell me on Joseph Bramlett, $6,900.
I don't have a sales pitch ready for Joseph Bramlett there. You kind of caught me off guard. But Landon Solinsky at DK Network might have one for you. He mentioned him this week. Andy Lack as his kind of lower price flyer over at Golf Digest. I'm guessing on the Bram wagon there. It's more of a driving distance play.
I mean, he is known to be a bomber. I don't have his I would like to see his place of birth. I'll have to pull that up here. Joseph Bramlett, though, has more or less, I say owned. I mean, he's a journeyman, 36-year-old journeyman PGA Tour player. T25, T13, T67, T18, T45 his last 5 times out at the Farmers. He's got a great track record here. The problem is he was cut at the Bahamas on the Corn Ferry Tour last week, and then he 10 Q'd at PGA Tour Q School. That means did not qualify, but then actually had a pretty good fall. Made most of his cuts outside of the Pro Tour. Made all their 5 other cuts on the fall series. So Joseph Bramlett playing some sneaky good golf, but couldn't get through Q School, and then couldn't make the cut in the Bahamas on Corn Ferry. I don't know. Feels like if he's gonna be
how is he
one
here? Sponsor invite?
and that's what I was gonna check. I mean, I don't know that he has a card, and I mean, I know we could pull up, how he got in the field. I'm not there. I'm not there yet. I know you could get him at like 1% and all this consensus right now, but I'm not there in Joseph Bramlett.
I suppose we'll need to sprinkle a little bit, given where he's popping from a mention share, mention power index perspective, but definitely not going overweight. With you in Ludwig.
Hey, he's only 291st on the world golf rankings. Let's give him some credit.
Who's directly ahead of him, Jordan?
Oh, that is not in my.
But a few other names though, Kyle, that you mentioned. I mean, Will Zalatoris, Hideki Matsuyama. Take your pick there. I mean, I think either guy's going to be definitely in play this week from a stud standpoint. Gary Woodland, I don't know. I tend to get burned on Gary more than I find him surprising. Although, again, a guy that's won on tough golf courses, putts well on POA, and hits it a long way. He fits Torrey, and he's a good California golfer. I just don't know that I'm there this week. And then two guys that I've seen as a big on outright cards this week: Taylor Montgomery, Alex Smalley. I kind of feel like if either of those guys pops this week, there's going to be a whole bunch of community talk about being on those guys.
And if you need a moment, I have a couple things I can talk about, but I'm curious, what's Taylor Montgomery been up to? Because last I knew, he was playing some awful golf, but yeah, he was good at the Amex last year, so maybe he had a little bit of revival at the Amex this week.
He was good at the Amex last year until he literally shanked one in the water on 17. Literally.
And they called it a homemade golf swing. That still sticks out very clearly in my mind.
But he was, Taylor Montgomery, T13, I mean, traditionally an excellent putter. I'd have to look up his stats on POA here. I don't have that in front of me. We'll pull that up in a second. T13, T31, T11 last 3 years at the Farmers. And he's been making cuts. And this is the kind of guy that, like, all of a sudden he pops and makes, gains 9 strokes on the greens in any given weekend, and he's up there in the top 10.
So I want to just mention quickly on Ludwig. I'm with you there. Cash game play for sure. I think that's going to come with a lot of ownership from a GPP perspective. So just be prepared to get a little different elsewhere if you make that click. But second in total driving in this field, 4th from 200 yards plus, 4th in scrambling. So a lot of the things we're looking at in addition to being long, accurate drivers. One of my favorite plays is Taylor Pendrith. He's 8,800. 24% so far in the mention share, and pretty solid MPI, 78. Pendy fell off a little bit last week, or the last time out at Sony at T45, but he was T13 at Century, 8th at the Shriners, gaining off the tee, and was pretty strong. And prior to that, really to end last season too. So good course history, or good course fit from a profile perspective, and solid course history with a T9 and T16 here. Has not missed a cut in 3 starts. $8,800. I think you can do a lot worse than Taylor Pendrith. I love Will as always. 9,500. I was expecting him to come in pretty highly owned. Again, someone we've seen on a lot of betting cards. But I'm starting to get the sense, just with how people are building and, Ludwig and people wanting to get some decky exposure, maybe he won't come in as high owned as I would have thought. And Rick Rungud actually has him only projected 10, 11%, which I would be all in if that's the case. And then I do have a couple bombs I'll throw out, but the other more expensive guy that's interesting to me this week is Shane Lowry. Not getting a ton of love in the model so far, only at 17% mention share. He is 9,000, but the MPI is pretty strong. But he was T3 at
his last DP World Tour start, and that was coming off T13, T12, T13, T12, T12, T9, T13. So he's just been a machine right at the back end of the top 15. So I like me some Lowry this week in this field, and again he's gaining off the tee lately, and as the normal Shane Lowry approach.
I'm backing you on Shane this week, Kyle. Elite driver of the golf ball, as is Aaron Rye, a consensus play this week, but you might be able to get Aaron Rye at sub 10% ownership. He's made 3 straight cuts at the Farmers, as well as having a decent showing out at the Century, his only other start this year so far. I will not give him credit for his T14 at the Hero World Challenge. He shouldn't have been playing in that event. The only other guy that I'll throw out there that I think is in play at sort of that mid ownership range, Jason Day. You got to have an Aussie to back at Torrey Pines. Jason is it is what it is. Same thing with Riviera. I'm going to go with Jason Day this week, 9,300. I think he's a good second guy in, especially if you can swing for a few of, maybe if you're stuffing Bramlin in there or Taylor Montgomery as a 6K play, you can definitely go Jason Day plus another player higher in the salary board.
I got a couple cheapies to throw out before we let Jordan's scathing hot takes come through. Nicholas Norgard Moeller, long, high ceiling type guy. $7,600 this week. Check him out. He is in DraftKings, is in Moeller if you're looking for him. It took me a little bit to track that one down. Rico Hui, and then Aldrich Potgeiter at 6,400 if you're really looking for a cheap bomber DP World Tour type play.
I just get a kick. So first of all, when you wrote Nicholas Norgard, I'm being perfectly honest, I thought you meant Nicholas Højgaard, but you just spelled it wrong.
No,
but
I didn't have the last part. That's what it was.
I get that. You did. I won't get on you for spelling Vincent Norman wrong. That's okay. Taylor Moore is Taylor Moore, as in like. I don't even know. Like what is more M-O? Oh, you just forgot the E. There we go. Thank you. Okay. Got to give Kyle the hard time about the names. Jordan, you've played Torrey Pines more than anyone else on this show. What? What? You got a hot take?
Got 2 good plays for you. One, Thriston Lawrence. Been playing well on the DP tour. It's usually a good sign. Someone comes over and plays well here. And then I like this guy's name, so I picked him. Rico, who is it? Hui or Hui?
Hui.
Rico Hui. There you go. There's my two plays. I'm gonna win with again.
Someone that Kyle's already mentioned on the show, therefore you should have understood his name.
I just assumed he pronounced it wrong, so I needed to make sure.
That's a good point. So for backing it up, to summarize, I think Hideki's probably getting most of the chalk. So if you want to just come off of Hideki a little bit, and you're looking at your studs, we haven't talked about Sung Jae, but we like consensus on Ludwig, and then maybe dropping down your 9K plays. Zalatoris, I like Day, but I think Zalatoris is definitely the play. And then a lot of good. I think Kyle, I think you gave out a couple of cheapies. I would be cautious on Joseph Bramlett. It feels too good to be true, but I do think Taylor Montgomery is there. And then, like I said, if you can just find a couple of 6K, low 7K bombs with guys that just hit a long way, your boy Nicholas, Aldrich, either of those guys, take a chance on them. I have a question though.
Yes, Mike.
So I'm in the, big shout out to Sandman Golf or Sandman Sports, sorry, not Sandman Sports, and all of the wonderful pools that Sandman Sports runs for our enjoyment. You know that RTG is really pulling for Mac Meisner and Brian Harmon this year in the big Sandman PGA Tour Calcutta. I'm also in the Sandman Sports PGA Tour Stones pool, which is the survivor or eliminator. Pick a guy to make the cut. Can't pick them twice. We've made our first 2 cuts of the year, which is good. Really would have liked to see Sam Burns go down at the Amex. He hustled to birdie 2 out of the last 4, I think, to make the cut on the number. That would have taken out a third of the remaining players. But Kyle, this week, my first click in was Hideki. Always a risk with the injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, I remember getting super sweaty on Jordan's pick of Keegan Bradley, who I think I had to go back and look. I want to say he shot maybe 64, 65 on the North course on day 2 to make the cut on the number. Other guys that crossed my mind, I would have been fine going with Zalatoris. I would have been fine going with Jason Day. I'd even go Ludwig here early in the season. You think Hideki's too much of a risk? I'd even go Tony Finau, to be honest.
I would go Ludwig.
Okay.
It's all about safety, and
100%.
The WD with Decky, I've been burned too many times. But yeah, he's been playing well, has good course history here. But I would go Ludwig.
I'd go Rico Hui.
That might be burning a pick I don't need to burn. I mean, the thing with Ludwig is like,
rookie of the year.
Well, the thing with Ludwig is I don't need him.
That's a great freeze frame.
Freeze!
Oh,
Yeah,
darn.
you got it.
That was a
Ludwig's
great freeze.
in.
Mike, you froze there with your hands out like this.
Oh, someone's gonna put that on Twitter. Oh, no.
I couldn't get it a screenshot quick enough though.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's what I got on the Farmers. Kyle, usually you got a betting card. I don't know if you have any other betting takes. You're taking this one off.
I haven't had the time to make the trip down to the Casey's gas station across the Iowa border. Wish the Minnesota legislature would get their act together. Past sports betting, we had a chance last year. You failed us anyway. So no card this week. I would have been super interested in that Willie Z number when it came out. A lot of people jumped on that. Probably would have sprinkled a little Taylor Pendrith, and then some of these long shots I've mentioned.
All right. Well, with that, I mean, I think it's time to wrap. We'll wrap the show, and we'll get a move on because I got lineups I got to build with the Wednesday start, Tuesday night show. It's a quick turnaround. You can find RTG content primarily on our Twitter feed at RTG Podcast DFS. Episode monthly on our YouTube channel, Reading the Green, and any major podcast platform. This is my favorite part. We'll be back in a month for the Genesis Invitational at the same golf course. Guys, do we need to reschedule February podcast?
I like talking about Torrey.
All right.
When is it
you...
in February? I'm out of town the 14th to the 21st.
It might be that week. We'll take that offline. Good luck this week at Torrey Pines. See ya.